Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we start in lecture 2 of chapter 3, passive and versus active style. Passive and active are two contrastive forms and styles. They have different functions, therefore they should not be confused or ignored in the Arabic translation. There is a common mistake of changing the passive into active by some Arab and Arabic-speaking translators who claim that Arabic is an active language, but English is passive. This is not confirmed about Arabic language by any linguist, grammarian, or language reference, as both passive and active are used in all types of Arabic texts. This means that both styles have to be they have to be reflected in Arabic translation for their important function to the message. Here we have two examples here. The Zionist soldiers killed 5 Palestinian children yesterday. When we go passive, it says 5 Palestinians were killed yesterday. At first sight, the two sentences have the same meaning. Yet careful consideration shows that they are different. The first is active and the second is passive, of course. Of course, the first one is stating the doer of the action of the killing, the killer, the Zionist. But in B, the passive, it doesn't indicate who is the doer, because it says 5 Palestinians were killed yesterday. قتل 5 أطفال فلسطينيين أمس. لم تذكر من هو القاتل. قتل الجنود الصهاينة 5 أطفال فلسطينيين أمس. When you say it in a passive way, it says قتل 5 أطفال فلسطينيين أمس. The passive can be changed into active in one form which keeps the doer of the action hidden. That is the use of the verb of completion, تم, followed by the noun of the main verbs of sentence as follows: تم قتل 5 أطفال فلسطينيين أمس. This kind of passive active has the same function of passive voice indicated above. Another example we have here says, you think perhaps that the university is the bastion of unshakable virtue. Tommy wrote, we're a bit more civilized maybe than the tribe at the gate, but like other communities, we have our villains. What do you say to thieves in a university library? I mean, people who steal purses, wallets, watches, fountain pens. We have them. Obviously, the tone is entirely and strongly active. It is used as straightforward, مباشرة, sharp, provocative, candid, and aggressive style. It implies an invitation to some kind of action to be taken. It is not advisable then to ignore these functions in the Arabic translation. If you're going to translate it into ربما تظن أن الجامعة معقل الفضيلة الراسخة. هراء، ده هراء. لقد نكون أكثر تحضرا بقليل من رجل الشارع، لكن إلا أننا كالتجمعات الأخرى لدينا أوغادنا أو من يعملون السوء. ماذا تقول عن لصوص مكتبة الجامعة؟ أقصد الأشخاص الذين يسرقون المحافظ، محفظات الجيب والنقود وساعات اليد وأقلام الحبر. عندنا من هؤلاء، عندنا منهم يعني. A version of the same text in the passive style will have different functions and at the same time would give more illustrations about the previous active version. If we're going to do it in a passive form, it is say, it might be thought perhaps that the university must be a bastion of unshakable virtue. The supposition would be misguided. Academics may be considered a little more civilized than the population at large, but wrongdoers are nonetheless to be found in the university as elsewhere. Though theft from a university library might be judged quite inconceivable, valuables in the form of purses, watches, wallets, or fountain pens are stolen. Here the passive is dominant here. If you're going to translate it, we're going to listen to it as this. ربما يظن أن الجامعة معقل الفضيلة الراسخ. لعل هذا الافتراض مضلل. قد يعتبر الأكاديميون أكثر تحضرا بقليل من عامة الناس، لكن المخطئين مع ذلك موجودون في الجامعة وفي غيرها. فبالرغم من أن السرقة من مكتبة جامعية قد لا تتصور أو قد لا يتصوره العقل، فإن الأشياء الثمينة تسرق وتتمثل في أكياس النقود، ساعات اليد، محفظات الجيب، وأقلام حبر. Here the passives are an underline, which is يظن، يعتبر، تتصور، تسرق، وهكذا. And here we may conclude that the two styles of passive and active are used in a language to express different stylistic functions and achieve different aims in relation to the message. Points out in Ghazala 2007, he points out 13 functions for the active and 27 functions for the passive in language. If they are not two different styles, why are they used in language in the first place then? Therefore, the students of translation are recommended to insist on using the same active or passive style of the English original in Arabic unless unavailable. Example, informal, colloquial, written Arabic style. The next one is 3.9, we're talking about repetition and variation. Many would think that repetition is a bad style and therefore has to be avoided in translation. This is generally imprecise, for this style is a part of rhetoric and can be used on purpose to have important functions that affect the message considerably. The best examples are available in abundance in the Holy Quran. The best language and style of any book on earth, Quran al-Karim. Generalization about the style of repetition is unacceptable and also illustrated in the forthcoming discussion. Come on, we're going to see now. Football, the first example is football is the game my friend's loves. Football is the sport he watches on the television. Football is his favorite hobby. As a child, his dream was to play football as a professional player. Here, he is now a great football player. The key word of this passage, of course, is football. It is repeated in every sentence to emphasize and echoed in every part of the text. Also, it implies that football is everything in my friend's life, which is what the message of the whole text is about. For all these reasons, the Arabic version has to produce the same repetition as follows. كرة القدم هي اللعبة التي يحبها صديقي. كرة القدم هي الرياضة التي يشاهدها على التلفاز. كرة القدم هي هوايته المفضلة، وكطفل كان أمله أن يلعب كرة القدم كلاعب محترف. هو ذا الآن لاعب كرة قدم كبير. It's not advisable to use variation on كرة القدم because the text will lose its natural, easygoing, fluent flow and the important function of football. And here we're trying to emphasize his passion to football. If we're going to use different words and variation is not, the meaning is going to lose its effect. Text will lose its natural, easygoing, fluent flow. Instead, there would be a boring, awkward text and unclear stylistic function. كالآتي، حتى تفقد من معناها. كرة القدم هي اللعبة التي يحبها صديقي. إنها الرياضة التي يشاهدها على التلفاز. اللعبة الأولى في العالم هي هويته المفضلة. This will not give the same meaning. It might give it something close to the meaning, but it's not going to emphasize what the source text wanted to say. They wanted to emphasize on كرة القدم football. Variation on كرة القدم are the pronoun اللعبة الشعبية، اللعبة الأولى في العالم، محبوبة الجماهير. Also they are a favorable variation on they do not have the same effect of the repetitions of the head word كرة القدم. And here another example is it contains several large streets, all very like one another, and many small streets, still more like one another, inhabited by people equally like one another, who all went in and out at the same hour, with the same sound upon the same pavements, to do the same work, and to whom every day was the same as yesterday and tomorrow, and every year the counterpart of the last and the next. That's from Charles Dickens' Hard Times. In this passage, there are three main repetitions. The repetition of streets, it was twice. Repetition of like one another 3 times. And the repetition of the word same, which is 5 times. These repetitions occur in the 5th chapter of the novel, Hard Times, by the famous English novelist, of course, Charles Dickens. It was about a town called Coketown, which is described as lifeless, dead, and unchangeable. These and other repetitions here are meant to reflect the same atmosphere of lifeless, boring, and hopeless town. People are and everything else. Everything and everybody in this town is the same as anything else and anybody else. No difference, no change, no life. In other words, the style of repetition has this critical function of reflecting as much as matching the contents of liveliness and boredom of the chapter, and perhaps the whole novel. So it's unwise to ignore it in Arabic. We have translated this way. تضمنت شوارع كبيرة عدة يشبه الواحد منها الآخر، وشوارع صغيرة كثيرة يشبه الواحد منها الآخر أيضا، يقطنها أناس يشبه الواحد منهم الآخر كذلك، دخلوا وخرجوا في الساعات نفسها، والصوت نفسه على الأرصفة نفسها، ليقوم بالعمل نفسه، وكل يوم بالنسبة لهم نفس الشيء كأمس وغدا، وكل نفس سنة نفس الشيء كمثيلتيها الماضية والآتية. يعني everything the same, they're doing the same thing every single day, same people, same streets, same town, same activities, same hobbies, same year, same time. Every time the same word is repeated in the English text, the same translation of it must be repeated in the Arabic too. Of course, this is not the case all the time. In this particular few paragraphs, when its repetition has to be meaning, has its own meaning to the paragraph. It has to reflect something. Another example is, yes, of course, I agree with you that we must cooperate, but on one condition. You work hard on the project, otherwise I work on my own. Yes, on my own. Do you understand? On my own. In this text, which is part of a conversation, there are what might be described imprecisely as unnecessary repetition, the underlined words. But the meaning is quite clear without repeating them, yet also such repetition are not required to help us understand the message. They are not used for no purpose, but to achieve certain functions, like laying more emphasis on a word or a phrase. Yes, on one condition, on my own. Continuation of speech without stopping, I. If you're translating in Arabic, let's say نعم طبعا أوافقك أننا يجب أن نتعاون، ولكن على شرط واحد أن تعمل بجد في المشروع، وإلا فأنا سوف أعمل بمفردي. نعم بمفردي. هل تفهم؟ بمفردي. In fact, it is possible to dispose of all these repetitions with no great loss of meaning as follows. نعم طبعا أوافق أننا يجب أن نتعاون، ولكن على شرط واحد، أن تعمل بجد في المشروع وإلا فسوف أعمل بمفردي. هل تفهم؟ Yet is not a good suggestion to substitute repetition for variations here, again, because they may make the text unnatural and unfluent, as the following version shows. نعم أجل طبعا أوافقك أننا يجب أن نتعاون، ولكن على شرط واحد، على أساس واحد، أن تعمل بجد في المشروع وإلا فأنا إنني سوف أعمل بمفردي، فلا لوحدي. هل تفهم؟ لحالي. This translation seems quite artificial and convincing and poor Arabic in comparison to the first version in particular. In fact, in natural conversation, such variations do not occur, especially those on نعم, بلا, أجل, أنا, إنني, إني. Consequently, we'd better avoid them in Arabic translation. The first version remains closer to the English original, then, as it reflects the same tone and function of the style of the latter. In some, the style of repetition would rather be rendered into Arabic, thus reflecting the same effect of the original, and at the same time avoiding the problem of finding artificial variations and synonyms which might be awkward to hear or hard to accept. Next, we're going to move to style of redundancy. Redundancy is the use of unnecessary extra words to express something. It is a long, boring way of expressing meaning using 2, 3, or more words instead of one word only. An example here will say, as a matter of fact, to say the truth, I have to say it frankly. All these have the same meaning. I am not interested in your offer. في حقيقة الأمر أنا غير مهتم بعرضك. Yet to reflect the function of politeness, hesitation, and stammering of the redundant style of the original, the students had better translate the 3 phrases into Arabic as follows. في حقيقة الأمر، في الحقيقة علي أن أقولها بصراحة أنا غير مهتم بعرضك. Next one is the economic policy of the new government is unacceptable completely, categorically, and in part and in total. An acceptable brief Arabic version is to use one word for all these 3 underlined ones as follows. السياسة الاقتصادية للحكومة الجديدة غير مقبولة برمتها. However, the great emphasis intended by such redundancy in English is wasted in the Arabic when the first problem. The right one should be السياسة الاقتصادية للحكومة الجديدة غير مقبولة كلية ومطلقا وجملة وتفصيلا. جملة وتفصيلا وكلية ومطلقا. See the text point for more details about this. Emphasis is well expressed by these words in Arabic. We may call this type of redundancy emphatic redundancy, which is important to reproduce in translation. The third example will say, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to thank the chairman for giving me the floor at last, having been waiting for an hour or so. Redundancy here is long, boring, and undesirable way of starting a speech. The speaker has chosen to begin with a long introduction instead of going directly to the point, namely being sharp and to the point. Therefore, one version of a translation into Arabic could suggest the disregard of redundancy completely, saying سادتي وسيداتي أو سيداتي وسادتي. أشكر الرئيس على إعطائي الكلمة. ممكن نختصرها هيك، ولكن you will lose some of the meaning. He wants to emphasize that he was late giving him the speech. It was some kind of sarcasm in this. So we have to reflect it, convey the message into the target language when we translate. We have to say it. سادتي وسيداتي أو سيداتي وسادتي. أولا وقبل كل شيء أود أن أشكر الرئيس على إعطاء الكلمة أخيرا بعد انتظاري حوالي ساعة تقريبا. It's irony. It implies irony, like I said, or sarcasm. I am tired and fatigued. I spent last night studying and reading because I had to do a difficult and hard assignment and homework and was preparing myself for test and examination. The 5 underlined phrases are redundant. Each is a pair of synonyms used unnecessarily to reflect two main functions on the part of the speaker: to rest assured that he has expressed himself perfectly well, to imply emphasis also. These redundancy may be plausible. Compare the following two versions. أنا متعب، أمضيت الليل الماضي أدرس لأن لدي واجبا صعبا وكنت أحضر نفسي للاختبارات. Or we could say أنا متعب ومرهق، أمضيت الليلة الماضية أدرس وأقرأ لأن لدي واجبا ووظيفة صعبة وعويصة وكنت أحضر نفسي للاختبارات والامتحانات. Yet the first version of Arabic is good, written in good style. Written in redundancy, bad style, yet the second is closer to the original than the first. And the second one is the better one, is much closer to the first, even though it has a lot of redundancy فيها اللي هي إعادة الكلمات مرة ومرة تكرار. It's not the translator's responsibility to improve that, or else he's writing a new different text in Arabic. That's why we say the second is closer to the original than the first. Same thing for number 5, which is also we're gonna use the same way. You could read this on your own. We're gonna go to the next example. We're gonna say finally is the style of redundancy is regarded as a bad style of writing. Yet in translation, it has to be reflected for two main reasons, which is: 1, it may have an important function of emphasis, contrast, bad style, poor language, boring text, or speaker, or indirect, hesitant way of saying something. Second reason is it is a part of the translator's faithfulness to the source language text as much as to his responsibility toward his profession of translation. He has to leave the original style as it really is in Arabic. That is, a bad style in English, equal to a bad style in Arabic. A good style equal to a good style. If it was bad, اللغة كانت ضعيفة شوية, it has to reflect that in the source on the target language. The next one we move into is expressivity, context, and readership. The style of the show of muscles. والاستعراض العضلات. What do we mean by that? More than one equivalent can be available in Arabic for the same English word, phrase, or expression, but they may not fit equally in different linguistic styles contexts because they have different degrees of expressivity. That is, one can be normal and therefore it is not suitable in a very formal and expressive context, whereas another may be too strong and formal to be used in an ordinary text or a text of children. For instance, in other words, there can be a problem of confusing the use of proper word in the proper context for the proper readership. The main reason behind such confusion of the context is the tendency towards using an expressive, pompous translation, regardless of the style of the language of the text, context, and readership, in an attempt to show one's muscles, which is an artificial, special, pedantic skill in Arabic. The following example illustrates this. Look at that example, and it was explained as much. His efforts came to nothing. We could use any of these to translate it. Some people بيحبوا يستعملوا الكلمات البراقة كما قلنا يبين حاله كاستعراض عضلات, show one's muscle, ويبين حاله smart. This sentence can have the following translation in Arabic: ضاعت جهوده دون نتيجة، لم يحقق شيئا، لم يوصل إلى نتيجة، لم تثمر جهوده عن شيء. لم تسفر جهوده عن شيء، ضاعت جهوده سدى، ضاعت جهوده هباء منثورا، ذهبت جهوده أدراج الرياح، ذهبت جهوده في مهب الرياح، أو تبخرت جهوده في الهواء. These translations can be divided into the following three styles. Normal language, as 1, 2, and 3, there's nothing special or metaphorical about the words used. All of them are ordinary, common, easily understood, and used by everyone. Expressive language in 4 and 5 and 6, the words sada, وتسفر, وتثمر give more expressive impetus to the translation than those of 1, because they are formal, rhetorical, and metaphorical. Bombastic language, this is indicated by the phrases أدراج, هباء منثورا, مهب الريح, تبخر في الريح. They are regarded as much more expressive and pompous than those of 2, because they are exaggerative and pompous, rhetorical and metaphorical, classical Arabic, literary collocations, and religious taken from the Holy Quran. هباء كمثال هباء منثورا جاءت من القرآن الكريم. Same thing here. The new Minister of Economy did his best to improve the economic situation of the country, but his efforts came to nothing. عمل وزير الاقتصاد الجديد كل ما وصل تحسين الوضع الاقتصادي للبلد لكنه لم يصل إلى نتيجة. You could say this, or لكن جهوده لم تسفر عن شيء. Same thing for 3. My fridge was faulty. The technician tried 7 times to repair it, but his efforts came to nothing. Same thing as before. جهوده لم تسفر عن شيء ولم يصل إلى نتيجة. Same thing for 4. His efforts came to nothing at the end. ضاعت جهوده هباء منثورا أو تبخر جهوده أو باهت جهوده بالفشل في النهاية. Same thing for number 5, which is we're gonna just read on your own. A public forwarded to a public who mostly has an average level of education and expects a simplified, easily understood, and commonly used standard Arabic, like the Arabic of good quality newspapers. Here is the list of examples illustrating the point, including the pompous words used and their ordinary, more appropriate substitutes. Like yes, in Arabic, الordinary بسو نعم. Pompous, a little bit مزينة أو منمقة بنقول عنها بلا أو أجل. Distressed, متكدر ومكتئب and pompous. الordinary منزعج أو حزين. Distressed and depressed. Arrogant or haughty, متغطرس مثلا صلب and pompous أو بيكون متكبر في الكلام العادي. Uncomfortable or annoyed, في الكلام العادي معناها منزعج أو غير مرتاح. في البامبس أو الكلام المزين في العربي ممكن يكون ممتعض. Slowly, you could say ببطء أو بتؤد. That's another nicer way to say it. Very happy, سعيد جدا فرحان, بس ممكن say مغتبط. Very tired or fatigued, you could say متعب جدا or say منهك أو خائر القوة. These are examples that you should go through. All different words to say the same. Complain, you could say يشتكي or يتذمر in a better or nicer, beautified word. The list is very long indeed. For more discussion, we could read it or look for it in cinemas and other books. The problem becomes worse when the translation text is forwarded to children through children's TV programs and cartoons. For example, children need a very simplified language, such show of muscles. Translations are frequent and therefore spoil the original, do harm to Arabic, and create difficulties for understanding to children. Only with the aid of their educated parents can they understand what they mean. To conclude this, usually the students perhaps prefer a show of muscles, translations mistaking them for the best version of translation. However, this is not exactly the case. Rather, the students are advised not to use bombastic, very formal translations in most texts and contexts and for any type of readership. They have to bear in mind that these factors can sometimes be sharply different. Therefore, one and the same version of a translation in Arabic does not fit in all types of text, context, and for all types of readers. They can be recommended only with an appropriate type of readership, educated readers, context, literally, rhetorical, expressive, exaggerative, etc., and type of text. For example, that is a short story, poem, political speech, an advertisement, collocation, a metaphor, etc. Here, rhetoric, expressivity, effectiveness, pomposity, exaggeration are allowed, not to say required. This is what can be called creative translation. This will end our lecture for today. We stop at page number 262, style of nominalization versus verbalization. For the next lecture, we see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.